Okay, so what if the Bible isn't just a collection of ancient documents? What if it's actually a single unified story with one author and one hero? Today, we're going to dive into a way of reading called theological interpretation. It's this approach that tries to uncover the one cohesive plotline that runs all the way from Genesis to Revelation. So, yeah, let's get right into it. At the heart of all this is a really fundamental question. Is the Bible a single unified book? Or is it more like a library of separate documents? Seriously, how you answer that question, it changes everything. Are you reading one cohesive story? Or are you just reading dozens of disconnected writings? That's the puzzle we're going to try and piece together today. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the foundation you can't skip. Then we'll get into what theological reading actually means. After that, we'll unpack the big ideas of unity and fulfillment and wrap up with how you can actually use this stuff yourself. Okay, so before we jump into the main idea, we've got to cover the absolute non-negotiable first step for any kind of serious Bible reading, and that is understanding the original historical context.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it means asking some really basic but crucial questions, like who wrote this thing? Who were they writing to? What kind of literature are we even looking at? Is it poetry, history, law? You've got to try and hear the text the way its original audience would have heard it. This historical detective work, it's the essential starting point. But, and this is key, it's not the final destination.
Okay, so once you've done that foundational work, theological interpretation comes in and adds another really crucial layer. This is the moment where we shift from seeing the Bible as just a collection of historical artifacts to seeing it as something more. And here's the core definition, right here. Theological analysis fully respects that the Bible is a collection of historical documents, absolutely. But it also reads it as something more than that, as unified scripture. It's an approach that treats the text as a single book with one coherent message about what God is doing in the world. And you can really see the difference in perspective here. The historical view, it kind of zooms in on a single text, right? It's asking about its specific author and its immediate circumstances. But the theological view, it zooms out. It's asking a totally different question. What is this text's role within the entire story of the whole Bible?
So the crucial point is this. Yeah, historical context is vital, but the ultimate context for understanding any single passage is the entire Bible itself. This is what folks call the canonical context, basically the whole collection of 66 books that make up the final form of Scripture. It's like you can't understand one puzzle piece without looking at the picture on the box, right? Same idea.
All right, so this brings us right to the first major principle of this whole approach. The conviction that the Bible, as we have it, tells one single coherent story. I mean, just think about it for a second. The Protestant Bible has 66 different books. But this approach argues they all add up to just one single, overarching story. And what's so fascinating here is that this approach doesn't just sweep the Bible's incredible diversity under the rug. I mean, you've got dozens of authors, all these different literary styles, centuries of history packed in there. And yet the argument is that none of it is ultimately contradictory. It's all serving the same single plot line. So you might be wondering, if it's really one story, how did the two major parts, the Old and New Testaments, actually relate to each other? Well, that brings us to our second principle, this dynamic of promise and fulfillment. The way it's seen is that the Old Testament is constantly looking forward, right? It's building anticipation, it's making all these promises, and then the New Testament comes along and basically declares, hey, that thing you were waiting for, the climax of all that anticipation, it's here. The fulfillment of those promises has arrived in the person of Jesus Christ. And look, this isn't just an idea people made up later. It's rooted right in the biblical text itself. The book of Hebrews literally opens by laying this principle out, contrasting how God spoke in bits and pieces through the prophets with the final, climactic way he spoke through his Son. And that leads us to the third, and honestly, the most central principle of this entire way of reading. Everything points to Jesus. From a Christian theological perspective, the whole biblical narrative finds its ultimate focus and fulfillment in him. You could say he's the key that unlocks the whole story. And you see the New Testament authors making these connections over and over again. They present Jesus as the fulfillment of the big covenants with Abraham and David. They call him the ultimate Passover lamb, the perfect high priest. He's the one who finally brings about the promised new covenant and kicks off a new creation. Okay, so what does this grand story actually look like when you lay it all out? And maybe more importantly, how do you actually use this method when you sit down to read? So here's the big picture plotline. It starts with creation, God's good intention for the world. But that gets completely unraveled by the fall. So the rest of the story is all about redemption. It's God's rescue plan, working first through Israel, which then reaches its climax in Jesus, and all of it points toward a final ultimate restoration, a new creation. So how do you actually do this? Well, here's a simple 3-step approach you can use. Step 1. Always start with that foundational work, the original historical and literary context. Step 2. Identify the main theological themes your passage is playing with, things like covenant, kingship, temple, sacrifice. And then step 3. Ask the big question. Where does this text fit inside that grand story of redemption we just talked about? The huge takeaway here is that interpretation becomes this two-way street. You read the New Testament to see how it fulfills the Old, sure, but you also have to read the Old Testament to understand all the promises and patterns that the New is even talking about fulfilling. They really do interpret each other. And that brings us right back to where we started. When you're reading any part of the Bible through this lens, the single most important question you can ask is this one. How does this specific passage, this story, this poem, how does it fit in with and contribute to the one unified story of God's redemptive work, from Genesis all the way to Revelation? And really, it's a question that can change the way you read everything.